So I grew up in a small town in East Michigan called Novi, where some of my earliest memories were swimming in the local pool and playing basketball with my friends. I was a fairly active kid. And if you were to ask my parents what stood out about me as a kid, I think they would say that it was my curiosity. I asked a lot of questions. Why do people say goodbye? Or why do humans have eyebrows? For whatever reason, curiosity about science and human behavior dominated a lot of my childhood. So when I was 15, I started a website design company with some of my friends, and I was just kind of looking forward to having some fun and having a chance to put my skills to use. But we had real clients. We had real clients who ran the local businesses in our town, and they had real expectations and deadlines for us to meet. And even though we weren't profitable that summer, I still learned a lot about teamwork. I still learned a lot about how to set goals for myself and for the rest of my team. The coolest part was the fact that we each had a different expertise to bring to the table, and that made for a really well-rounded team. I remember we spent at least 20% of every day teaching each other something new, and even though we each had something to learn from each other, we all had something to learn together, and to this day, it's still one of my favorite experiences. So I had only one goal during freshman year, and that was to understand what I wanted to do. So I threw myself at everything. I joined the Chinese Student Coalition to kind of further understand my ethnic identity. I joined a bunch of professional organizations to get a sense for what I wanted to do. And I joined a bunch of dancing groups to explore a new hobby. And that year, what I realized about myself was that I'm someone who likes problem solving and leading people to solutions. I think my curiosity attracted me to where the problems were, and my analytical ability kind of helped me create the solutions for myself. I like that entire process, and I think it was a big factor into why I chose engineering as a degree in college. So when I graduated, I knew what was important to me was the amount of learning opportunities, and that's what led me to choose the Edison program at GE. At GE, I was given the opportunity to wear a lot of different hats. I did rotations in program management, systems engineering, software engineering, and I think people would say different things about me depending on when they met me, but one thing was always consistent, and that was I was always excited to be solving problems. Whatever the problem was, whether I was debugging code in the lab or helping solve a process problem in our organization, I was always there to be part of the solution, and I think that's always been a really consistent thing within my career. So my second rotation was as the program manager for the recorders group, and I think program managers have the toughest jobs in the business. I had to drive results without any sort of direct reports or organizational leverage, and this was a lot of fun for me. For me, this was a career milestone. I realized that I was interested in a career in leadership, but with a focus on a products or program side. My curiosity has taken me to places all around the world and exposed me to a lot of different cultures. I've always seen traveling as an extension of my education. I've met Colombian business owners in Peru, I've met actresses in Machu Picchu, and Australians in Iceland. Everyone has a unique story to tell, and I love listening to what they have to say. When I was really young, I got a hamster for my birthday. It was my first pet, and I was thrilled. But I always remembered being a little sad that it was always caged up in our basement. And it must have bothered me a lot because one day I decided to sneak into the basement and I released the hamster from its cage. And I immediately regretted what I had done. My parents were furious, and I went to sleep that night really worried about the hamster, really worried that it was going to starve or something. The following morning, when I woke up, to my relief, I saw the hamster had returned back to its cage, and I guess back to its only source of food and water. I think companies need to have the freedom to explore the craziest ideas and to explore what's imagined. That's the cornerstone of innovation. But at the same time, there needs to be people who can sit down and put product strategies in place and who can assess the business impact. These people are both the dreamers of the company and the enablers. And I think that's a really cool thing.